10 mind-blowing facts about the universe. Welcome to another journey into the depths of space. Today, we're counting down 10 absolutely mind-blowing facts about the universe that will challenge what you think you know about reality. From invisible matter to time-bending physics, this isn't your average space documentary. Buckle up, because we're about to blow your mind. Fact 1. 95% of the universe is invisible. When we look up at the stars, we're only seeing a small slice of what's actually out there. In fact, only about 5% of the universe is made up of normal matter. The stuff you, me, stars, and planets are made of. The rest? It's a strange, invisible mix of dark matter and dark energy. Dark matter doesn't emit light or energy, yet it exerts gravitational pull. And dark energy, it's the mysterious force accelerating the expansion of the universe. Scientists still don't know exactly what either of them are, but together they shape the fate of the cosmos. Think about that. The majority of reality is invisible to us. Fact 2. The universe has no center and no edge. Most people imagine the universe as a big sphere, expanding outward from a center. But that's not quite right. According to general relativity, the universe is more like the surface of a balloon being inflated. Every point moves away from every other point. There is no center of the universe. And no physical edge you could reach. If you traveled in a straight line long enough, you might, theoretically, end up back where you started. It's a concept that defies our intuition, but it's backed by the laws of physics. Einstein's theory of relativity tells us that time is not absolute. The faster you move, or the closer you are to a massive object, the slower time passes for you. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station actually age slightly slower than people on Earth. Just a few milliseconds, but measurable. This effect, known as time dilation, becomes even more extreme near black holes. If you were to orbit a black hole at a safe distance, days for you could be decades for someone back on Earth. In this way, time itself is flexible, bent by motion and gravity. Fact or fiction? Black holes can eventually disappear over time? What do you think? Drop your answer in the comments. We'll reveal the truth later in the video. Fact 4. The universe is expanding faster than ever. You might have heard that the universe is expanding, but here's the wild part. It's not just expanding, it's accelerating. Galaxies aren't just drifting apart, they're racing away from each other faster and faster. This discovery, made in the late 1990s, shocked the scientific community. And it suggests that something, possibly dark energy, is fueling this cosmic acceleration. Eventually, galaxies may drift so far apart that they vanish from view entirely. The future of the universe could be cold, dark, and isolated. Fact 5. Black holes can evaporate. Black holes are famously known for devouring everything, even light. But Stephen Hawking proposed that they can also slowly lose mass through a process called Hawking radiation. This means that over trillions of years, black holes might actually shrink and evaporate entirely. What happens at the very end of this process remains a mystery. Some think it ends in a burst of radiation. Others propose it leaves behind exotic remnants. Regardless, it's a reminder that even the most powerful objects in the universe are not eternal. Fact 6. Neutron stars are like cosmic atomic nuclei. Imagine a star collapsing until it's only about 10 miles wide. Yet still more massive than the Sun. That's a neutron star. A single teaspoon of its material would weigh 1 billion tons. The entire thing is like one giant atomic nucleus, made mostly of tightly packed neutrons. They spin rapidly, sometimes hundreds of times per second, and emit powerful beams of radiation. These extreme objects push the limits of what matter can become. Fact 7. There could be infinite universes. The multiverse theory suggests that our universe may be just one of many. Potentially infinite in number. Each universe could have different physical laws, dimensions, or even alternate versions of you. This idea stems from both quantum mechanics and cosmology. While we have no direct evidence yet, some versions of string theory and inflation theory support the possibility. If true, the universe, as we know it, is just one page in an infinite cosmic library. Fact 8. The observable universe is 93 billion light-years wide. You might think the universe is about 13.8 billion years old, so shouldn't it be 13.8 billion light-years across? Surprisingly, it's not. It's around 93 billion light-years wide. That's due to the expansion of space itself. As light travels, the universe stretches, making objects farther away than they were when the light began its journey. So what we can see is vast. But what we can't see could be infinitely more. Fact 9. Space isn't empty. Even in the most remote parts of space, there's still something there. Particles, virtual energy fluctuations, radiation is never truly empty. Quantum field theory tells us that vacuum is more like a restless sea of temporary particles blinking in and out of existence. In fact, these quantum fluctuations might have even seeded the formation of galaxies, so even nothing is something. Fact 10. The universe might loop back on itself. One theory suggests the universe is closed and finite. Meaning, if you traveled far enough, you could end up where you started. It would be like living on the surface of a 3D sphere, where space wraps around itself. This isn't proven yet. Recent data shows intriguing signs that the universe may not be perfectly flat. If true, the universe could be a cosmic loop, and we may be moving through the same space again and again. It's a mind-blowing idea, proposed by physicist Stephen Hawking in 1974. And it completely changed how we think about black holes. Contrary to popular belief, black holes aren't completely black. They actually emit tiny amounts of radiation, now known as Hawking radiation. And here's how it works. In the vacuum of space, quantum mechanics tells us that particles and antiparticles constantly pop into existence and annihilate each other. This happens everywhere, even right at the edge of a black hole's event horizon, the point of no return. Sometimes, one of these particles falls into the black hole, while the other escapes. When this happens, the escaping particle becomes real. It flies away as radiation. To conserve energy, the black hole loses a tiny bit of its own mass. Over trillions upon trillions of years, this slow loss of mass adds up. Eventually, the black hole could shrink, weaken, and completely evaporate. This means black holes might not last forever after all. So, which fact blew your mind the most? Whether it's the reality warping power of black holes, or the idea that we may live in a multiverse. One thing is clear. The universe is far stranger than fiction, and we've only just begun to understand it. If you enjoyed this cosmic journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and keep looking up.